Good morning to everybody, distinguished speakers and faculty members of the Institute. All other participants in the seminar. At a very short notice, I have been given the responsibility of delivering the keynote address. Though there was not adequate time with me even to think what I should speak, but based upon my experience of 30 to 40 years in industry, I will endeavor to present to you some inputs which I consider very relevant. To many of us who spend most of the time in corporate management and have business-based perspective, primary concern and consideration has been achieving three financial parameters for the company, and all of us, really speaking, we work for that. In a very simple terminology, what is expected out of management in corporate words is, number one, to increase turnover, number two, to increase profits, and number three, to increase the wealth of all stakeholders, and primarily those of people who invest money into the company, that is shareholders. And this is measured by, last aspect of it is measured by the dividends which you declare and the enhancement in the share prices which you are in a position to provide to the shareholders. For the past 20 years, due to the presence of many international companies in this country and greater accountability which has been distinctly observed in all Indian national companies, greater focus has been to achieve these goals instead of every year, every quarter. I remember in 1970s and 1980s, if you could achieve the program in a year, it was considered to be splendid performance. But today, you must achieve all these three goals: increase turnover, increase profitability, and increase in the value of the wealth of the shareholders every quarter. Until and unless you can accomplish it, your performance is not considered to be very good. However, definition of sustainability during the past 25 years has widened due to the importance of social and environmental factors in addition to economic factors. And nowadays, in modern concepts, enterprises are considered as sustainable in totality if they can contribute to this modern widened view and provide, in addition to economic benefits, social benefits as well as environmental benefits to the society and to the employees and to other stakeholders at large. In management terminology, in management jargon, and people talk of academic way of looking at business, they call it triple bottom line, which has acquired considerable importance in our society and in seminars like this. However, as a business manager and having been worked in corporate boardrooms for almost more than 35 years, to me still sustainability means long-term, producing the above three results which I have talked about very specifically, not only in long term, but I would call attaining them in perpetuity. So the definition, as I have experienced in corporate world, is to deliver results which I have spoken very specifically in perpetuity. If the company can deliver these results in perpetuity, in the long term, very long term, when I'm talking long term, I'm talking of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. That's why I use the word perpetuity. Then only one can say that the sustainability in the organization is coming. Most of us in this country, in this kind of seminars, talk about based upon our experiences in large companies or in the stock market, high mid-value companies. That there is a whole world of business which is engaged at this point in time in small-scale business and businesses which I call medium size, which have typically turnover of 5 crores to 25 crores and where we have less than 200 people. You will be surprised to know that it is exceedingly difficult to manage these categories of companies than managing large national and multinational companies. Fortunately, I have exposure to both, and if I have to categorize the ability which is required to run these categories of the companies for any chief executive, and I can say with confidence, and you will be surprised when I give you the figure, the level of the capability to run such organization is currently over 100 times the capability of a managing director which runs a company above 100 crores or even 5,000 crores. In fact, running companies of 1,000 crores or 5,000 crores, in my opinion, is much more easier than running a company of currently in medium size, which I've defined companies having less than 200 people, and the turnover which are having 5 to 25 crores of rupees. I don't have experience of running smaller companies than this side. Maybe this factor will get multiplied. Only thing is, we know the people who work in large companies, we sing their praises and we find that they are doing excellent jobs. But there are many unsung, unknown, limitless number of individuals who are engaged in business of running medium-sized companies, and their job is exceedingly difficult. And for them also, achieving all the three parameters is as important as in a large company. Whether consideration in pursuing triple bottom line concept about which I have talked, or simple economic concept to which I am more familiar as a manager in large and medium-sized company, there is no silver bullet or magic pill which can make any company sustain its business perpetually. Sustainability, particularly when you are experienced stormy weather, It needs continuously that we have looked at some very fundamental 4 or 5 factors. And these factors are, we must have ability to look and have a fresh look to the problems. Problems are there in every business and they are different. Every business has different problems, and one cannot say that these are the sets of problems which are experienced in a particular business. But ability to have a fresh look at the problem is the key issue. And this ability must be exercised by a good manager or a good managing director or good CEO in a company. We must realize that problems create opportunities. And hence we need to understand and explain and exploit these problems which we are experiencing as a result of the problems which we are experiencing in enhancing our business. I think one of the examples which comes to my mind is the development which ANZ Bank did when they were experiencing problem due to migration of large number of population from rural areas to main capital city of that country, and there was no method of sending money because mostly people were working in the capital city of the country and the money had to be sent to rural areas, and they used to use taxi couriers. So it was a problem of sending earned money to the people who need in your family, and very large number of people had that need. And now ANZ Bank looked this opportunity to expand their business all over in that country, including rural areas, and enhance their business several times in that country. Second is the change of the direction which is required to prove that the spotted opportunities which you have found now as a result of your ability to look at the problems, you are in a position to change the direction in the company. This may need a total relook at the vision statement of the company. It may necessitate changing the mission statement of the company. It may change strategy of the company. But this change has to be done continuously depending upon the problems which you are experiencing in business, and the ability to change the direction is the second important factor for a manager to do it. Third is that many times very small changes are required to solve the problems. There should be desire, unlimited desire in the management to do those small changes as an experimental basis and see and evaluate the effects of those changes on a continuous basis. And fourth is, it is not necessary that all changes we must carry out by ourselves. We must seek collaborations of the stakeholders, participation if need be. If need be, support from the customers and other stakeholders into the business. And finally, we should be able to find out new methods of rewarding the efforts of stakeholders to accomplish all the goals which I have talked about very specifically. Thus, it is ability, in a nutshell, if one has to define, it is the ability to develop important winning strategies all the time, continuously, throughout the period, whether it's a medium-sized enterprise or large enterprise, that can lead to long-term success and hence continued sustainability. CEO change in developed economy have another problem because most of the developed countries, the CEO do not stay for more than 5 to 6 years. Even in USA, typically CEO change every 5 to 6 years. I do not know the exact amount of time which CEOs spend in Indian companies, but my experience shows it is not like to be very much different from this figure, maybe 1 or 2 years more or less. And hence, HR role in ensuring sustainability becomes very important and very relevant, as it requires change of mind shift of everyone, not only of CEO. And therefore, one has to work at the organizational level to see that the sustainability gets grained into the institutional thinking. Confining my discussion to only current expectations and not going into environmental and social factors, as I mentioned, that the role of the business and expectation from the business, whether it is a medium size or large size, continues to be that there should be continuity in profitability, there should be continuous increase in turnover, there should be continuous increase in wealth generation, not from year to year now anymore, but even quarter to quarter. And therefore, HR has to continuously help in formulating, implementing the policies which can ensure that most of these ideas becomes operational and functional. Now, what are HR does in most of the companies? One can talk of bombastic and large management jargons and explain that this is what is done by HR. But I will confine myself to practicality. The first job of HR is to select people. Whom do you select? 99% of the time we select people based upon standard perceived systems of selection. We see his technical knowledge is good, if he is doing technical job, is in a position to understand, is he has got communication skills, has he got extraordinary capability to deliver what he wants to talk to. We arrange debates, interviews, tests, written tests, and all kinds of methods we do in a company to evaluate the individual, and the people are the persons who perform better. We think they will be very useful for the organization. But to my mind, all these is important, not very important. I have seen hundreds of presidents, hundreds of vice presidents, hundreds of general managers, hundreds of managers, hundreds of branch managers who had the opportunity to work with me in my own career. The best performance does not necessarily come from the boys who speak smartly, or who have got 90% marks or 95% marks or 99% marks, or who have debated very well in the interview. Unfortunately, it has to be admitted that the performance comes for the people who have got tremendous desire to contribute in a company. If a person wants to contribute in a company, there is no substitute for it. In my own experience in a company where there were 6,000 people and I was managing director, I found that the branch manager of a particular branch is producing results which are 3 to 5 times the results which the company is getting from managers where we have placed highly communicative and highly performance individuals. And this particular gentleman could not even speak English with confidence, but had a desire to contribute immensely, and had a desire to do always the best. And he did it, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years. I was there in that company for more than 10.5 years. All the 10.5 years of my stay, this gentleman who spoke unbroken English, who was not an MBA, he did very well. I don't have time to share that experience, how he did it. But I was myself used to feel surprised how he doesn't do it. Then I tried to analyze it. And the analysis indicated that there is no substitute in any company than the desire to contribute. Higher this desire to contribute, higher the performance will be there from an individual. Unfortunately, there are not easier methods to have the measurement of this, how to measure the desire for contribution. I think we are getting late, and I would conclude by saying that there are 3 basic things which I advise people to follow as a part of the personal policies. And I think I must mention to them, though I will not be able to explain to them the concepts. One is, I believe we should be able to make, and all what I'm saying is very difficult to do it. And how it can be done also, I wish I had a time. First is, how to make work as an expression of freedom for everybody in the company. That's a great challenge. How HR can make work an expression of freedom. Now, this terminology is very difficult to understand and appreciate. And to make work an expression of freedom, we need to ensure that the person working in your company enjoys the work. How will he enjoy the work? When he knows how to do the work. How he will know how to do the work? Not by our finding fault or looking at his limitations, but by ensuring that we provide him support to learn so that he can do the job the way he wants to do it, as successfully as we expect everybody else to do it. And therefore, we only talk of that we provide tremendous opportunities in our organization for growth, and that's very important. And but what is most important is building shared values between business and the employees. Not so easy, very difficult to do it. HR has a tremendous role in doing it. I'm not getting into these details because of the lack of time, and I am very thankful to all the faculty members here, and particularly Professor Dhoop, who I do not know how he come to know about me, and has invited me to come here today and share my own experiences. And I feel very happy, because very rarely you get opportunity to meet the kind of people which I met today this morning. I find today only, if there's a relaxation anywhere in this world, it is in the institutes of management and institutes of learning. When you work in actual practice in business environment, there's no relaxation, there's no peace, there's no transparency. And I spent an hour here today, this morning, and I felt very, very happy and comfortable. And I think that was the biggest reward for me as a result of this invitation. I appreciate and I thank you very much.